Hello, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about my July wrap up and my August TBR. So for the month of July I read 6 books and one graphic novel, and for the most part I have some mixed that I love, some that was okay. None of them I hated, so that's a good thing. So the first book I read was Everything We Left Behind, which is a sequel to Everything We Keep by Kerry Lonsdale. And I read this, the first book last year. Loved it. So when the publisher sent me the arc, I was excited because I wanted to know what was going to happen next. Now, when I started the sequel, which I won't talk too much about because if you haven't read it, I don't want to give away too much. But what I would say, it felt like reading a completely different book because the first character, the main character, the first one, barely showed up in this one. Like twice she showed up in here as flashback or just a small cameo in a sequel. But I did like the story of one of the I don't even know how to talk about this book without giving it away because I've never really reviewed a sequel on here, but this no, I did like it. It's not as good as the first one. I thought the first one was better, more riskier. This one, it felt like very subdued. It's not a lot of action like I wanted it to be, but apparently there's going to be a next one, so we'll see. The next book I read is Say You're Sorry by Melinda Lee, and that is a murder mystery. So we have a lawyer, and she decided to defend her next door neighbor who's accused of killing her babysitter. And in the story you get to find out who, what, when, why. It is, I would call it like a lifetime movie book. Not over the top, but still enjoyable, still a page turner. And I enjoyed it. I gave it a 3 stars. Also I gave the other one, Everything We Kept, also gave that a 3 star. The next book I read was called Breathe Again by Adrienne Thompson. Now this book, at moments I want to laugh and at moments I want to rant. I picked this book solely because of the cover. If you look at the cover, I think the cover's a bomb. You have the afro, she looks plump, plus size, and look at me, I'm like, yeah, we got a plus size sister on the cover. It disappointed me a little in the beginning. The end did make up for it, which is why I gave it a 3 star, but I was a little disappointed that she had to be the girl that needed rescuing. She's portrayed as somebody who's from a small town, never left her town, no education. She is working for a family member at their restaurant, at a barbecue restaurant. Again, a plus size girl at a fast food restaurant. Well, kind of sort of a fast food restaurant. But I felt like they couldn't give me a plus size girl with like some kind of sass and a lot of confidence, and I wanted her to be so much more than what is portrayed. And then on top of that, she needed to be rescued by an athlete, a wealthy, rich athlete. And mind you, I did like that aspect because she didn't look like the typical model type, but again, she had to be rescued. So she's gonna be with the athlete and nothing going on for her. So it was a tough one. It's a tough one. I almost want to throw my candle away, but I got through it, and I did enjoy the spiritual aspect. I like the fact that they made it, the story had like a spiritual thing to it, and I thought that was good. So the next book I read was one of my most anticipated book for the second half of the year, which is What We Lose by Zinzi Clements. I thought this was a really good book in terms of how it talks about grief and how we have a young girl who lost her mom and her trying to connect to everything about her mom, her mom's culture and things that she remembers from, childhood of her mom in South Africa. And I love how they intertwine certain historical parts in South Africa to this story. But I didn't find it that you know, extremely different from stories I've read. There was nothing about even some of the things that she's done that might seem a little bit off to me. It's like I've heard that before, so that's why I wasn't that moved by her behavior in this book, because it just didn't seem odd to me as far as was, I've seen it before in real life or in books, So I gave this book a 3.5 star. I thought it was good, but not amazing. So the next book I read was Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. Now this book is about a story of this town where women seem to be either they committed suicide, they may have accidentally fell in this river, or maybe somebody pushed them and killed them. So we have one character that's talked about this book where she is believed to maybe commit suicide. So again, they don't know, so they have to investigate it. So during the investigation, there's things that comes up, things that connects a lot of the women together, and it's talked about. Now this story reads, when you read the synopsis, you're thinking, yes, it's going to be a good one, but the first half is bored. I was bored. I wanted so much more in the first half. I mean, the second half was so good that I wish had the whole book been like that, I would have really enjoyed this even more. But the first part really took down how I really felt about this book. So I gave this book a 3 stars. I just couldn't get past how bad the beginning was. Now, the next book I read was Eve Out of Her Ruins by Ananda Devi. I thought that this was such a good book. This is definitely a 5-star read for me. I saw Dominique from Storyscape, and she did the mid-year freakout tag, and the first question is, what's your favorite book you read so far this year? And this is what she listed, so I immediately write it down. I'm like, I need to read this. And yes, I understand why. This book was written in such a poetic way that it draw you in immediately. You wanted to know more. You felt the emotion of the character, and it's a book that I feel like I don't want to give the story away. I don't want to say what it's about. I think you should really go in it blind, like I did, and you enjoy it more. It's a short story. It literally is less than 150 pages, but it's packed with so much that there's nothing that to me was left unsaid. It's just it's a good book, and I feel like I would highly recommend people read this and add this to your TBR immediately. It's a really good one. The last thing I read was a graphic novel, which was Black Panther Volume 2, and I love this better than the first. Now, the first one I was just like, it's alright. This one I enjoyed more. I thought it was interesting. The storyline was easy to follow. You kind of got into it much more than the first one. And that was it for this month. Now for the month of August, I have about 3 books I know for sure I want to read. And the first one is Cant by Jennifer Makimbo. I'm not going to even try and pronounce the second name, because I'm probably going to butcher it. But I've seen everybody so far that I follow on social media who's got their hands on this get excited about it. They talk so highly of it that I know I wanted to read it. It seemed a little chunky for me, but I heard it's so good that you just keep turning the pages. So I'm hoping I have the same experience as they do. The next one, it doesn't come out till, I cannot remember the exact date. I want to say it was the 11th or 12th of August, and it is Stay With Me. That book was listed on was one of the finalists for the Bailey's Women Award, and I've been having my eyes on it, and I've been watching it, see when it comes out here in the US, and it comes out soon, so I'll definitely be reading it. Next book I wanted to read, because I feel like a lot of books are probably going to be heavy, so I wanted something that was more like a comedy, so I wanted to read I Can't Make This Up by Kevin Hart. I got this book when I met him at BookCon this year, and I went to his discussion panel and he talks about this book, things about in this book, and I was like laughing so hard that I knew I'm gonna probably have the same experience reading this book, and I could use a little bit of comedy. So Sadie Up, it's gonna be on my list for this month. I do plan on reading some more books. I think V, I can't remember her last name, Keelan, this is an erotic author. She writes a lot of erotic romance, and she has a new book that just came out this month. I think the 20th of July, I'm sorry, last month, the 20th of July it came out. So I'm most likely probably going to pick that up. I do like my erotica in between my more serious books, and we'll see how that one goes. But so far, these are the ones I know for sure I'm going to read. And granted, I might pick up 2 or 3 other books that I'm not listed yet, and I'm sure I'm going to probably pick up. But anyway, to get to the end of this video, please go ahead and subscribe, thumbs up, and leave a comment. Let me know if you've read any of these books, and if you like them, how you felt about them. And other than that, enjoy the rest of the summer, because it's coming to an end. I don't want it to end, but fall looks like it's trying to get it on here, except for I'm a little hot, so I'm swimming outside, and I'll tell you, I am burned up. A couple times I had to block myself, but I'd rather this than being outside freezing. I don't get to enjoy none of this in the winter. So, and where I live, we get cold. So anyway, thanks for watching this video, and have a nice day.